Hi, everybody. I'm back today to talk to you about why I recommend both private sessions and daily practice for a while for people who are trying to rewire their brain. Now, there are caveats to that. The biggest one being, if it's just a single memory or traumatic experience in your past, usually that can be rewired quite quickly. And oftentimes you don't have to do any kind of ongoing practice for you to no longer feel traumatized by that memory. But with other things, like things that are habitual patterns in your life, right? Let's say that you got bit by a dog a really long time ago and you have rehearsed unintentionally being afraid when dogs are around many, many, many times since then. So your brain has this big neural network that I like to envision like a tree. And the trunk and the branches of that tree are just the habit you've built from feeling afraid over and over and over again in the presence of a dog or when thinking about a dog. If that is your trauma and you have replayed it over and over again because you have this big neural network, if you break down the roots of that tree, which were the original traumatic experience with a dog and your beliefs about dogs, sometimes that is enough to change the habit of feeling afraid around a dog. But sometimes you still have to do a little bit more work to break down the final bits of that trunk and branches, i.e., the neural habit that you have created. That requires some consistent practice for a bit. And it usually requires incremental practice with whatever that trigger is. The way that we teach people to do that is nothing like exposure therapy. And so I just want to make that very, very clear. But there are often some activities to be done after you address the roots and the branches. And that is what the group neural retraining activities are definitely very equipped to do. The group neural retraining activities are also equipped to help you with a lot of more minor issues you may have, right? Things that don't dysregulate you to a 10 out of 10, but maybe like a 5. So for you, maybe going to parties is a 5 out of 10. And you really just hate socializing in that format and it causes you some stress. That kind of thing, the tools in the Wired for Wellness program are designed to help you rewire some of your triggers that are not 8, 9, or 10 out of 10. Those kinds of things that are really intense triggers definitely do work best with a practitioner. Otherwise, you risk just getting stuck in the trauma, re-traumatizing yourself, etc. So that's kind of our line about that is, if you're triggered by something 1 to 7, then that's a really good thing that you can rewire on your own in the Wired for Wellness program. So because we have so many people coming to us wanting to do this work. And most of those people are both very dysregulated on a consistent basis and sick. For people in that camp, the consistent, regular practice really is critical. Why? Because when you are dysregulated all the time, your brain basically needs reminders very regularly that you are actually safe with whatever's going on in your day-to-day life at that point. It might need a reminder right after you look at your to-do list. It might need a reminder after you have a tense meeting with your boss. It might need a reminder that you're actually safe when you pick your kid up from school and they've gotten a fight, right? Those kinds of things that are not true threats to our lives, those kinds of things we can absolutely rewire quite easily on our own. But those kinds of things you're not going to want to be doing in sessions, nor would it be as effective in sessions because these are small things that you encounter in your everyday life. Maybe your entire day you're dysregulated, right? So if that's the case, your brain really needs to get those signals frequently. And it doesn't have to take a long time to send a signal of safety to your brain. It can take as little as a few minutes, and as you do it, it gets easier. That is one other reason why it's so important is because it's similar to going to the gym. If you want to get really strong and buff and toned, then you need to go regularly to the gym, right? In order to build those muscles and keep them. But the same is true with neural retraining. In order to build those neural networks that you want to have, you need to do this work consistently. You need to get your reps in, so to speak, until you have grown strong new neural networks that can produce for you what you want, right? If you're working out, your goal is to produce these strong muscles that can then do something for you, usually, right? Can bench lift 100 pounds. With your brain, you're trying to get it to produce for you what you want, whether that be a new habit, right? To eat healthy or to exercise regularly, or you're trying to teach it a new skill, like learning a new language, or you're trying to teach it how to be calm when there are no true life or death dangers around. What I have found, having done both with people for a while now and having done only private sessions with people when I first started doing this work, is that people are really understanding it at a much deeper level by doing the group program. And that is leading to them getting better results. In the group program, we touch on so many different topics that you may need to rewire, some of which you may not even know that you need to rewire until we mention it, because a lot of our own patterning we're so familiar with that we think it's normal. Even if it's so uncomfortable or it's causing us these wicked health problems, we just go on with what our norm is and we just play it out every day. But we don't have to do that. We can change that patterning so that we don't have to be sick and we don't have to be dysregulated, i.e., anxious, depressed, angry, or some other uncomfortable emotional state all the time. It's not that we will never visit those states, we will. Even after you rewire your brain, you still have the full spectrum of emotions. You just spend less time on the side of angry and sad and grieving and anxious and all these other things. Those are a couple reasons why, I've found private sessions and daily practice are both really, really amazing. To give you another reason to consider private sessions, like I said, usually with private sessions, we're working on people's either really big stuff that dysregulates them to a 10 out of 10, or issues or stress patterns that are so pervasive in their lives that they can hardly see it, or it's so sticky that they've tried to change it in the past and they just cannot make any changes. Oftentimes, when something like that is going on, we need to dig deeper, and it helps to have somebody with an outside perspective to go, this looks a lot like you have a belief system of XYZ that's fueling this. And then the person might be like, yes, I do. And then we'll go and we'll rewire that together, right? But that person may have never been able to identify that within themselves because they don't do this work all day long. They're not constantly thinking about what's going on with their emotions and why did they turn out the way that they did and why did they behave the way that they do. Most people don't think about that constantly. And that's okay. When I did private sessions for myself, I had so many aha moments. I was just like, wow, I did not even realize that about myself. And some of those things were big things that I had complete blind spots for. For your bigger or your stickier issues, I do think that private sessions really can make an enormous difference. Those sessions are also customized to you with the way that your brain works. So there are a lot of different ways to rewire the brain, a lot of different techniques, I should say. And I use a variety of them. But often what I'll do in the first session is I will try the myriad of different techniques, or at least several of them, and pay attention to what works best for a certain person's brain. And then I'll make note of that and we will focus on the things that work better as we continue to work together so that we get faster and faster and faster results with what we're doing. So that's definitely an advantage as well. Let me think if there's anything else I'm missing here. The other thing that I think is really powerful about private sessions is one, it can lead to enormous breakthroughs because oftentimes the places that you might get stuck in working on big issues with yourself, you need somebody else to go, oh, I see you're hitting a roadblock. Let's just go around to the right and do this instead. Sometimes if you don't have the training to know what to do when you hit a roadblock, you're just going to stay at the roadblock. Having somebody else there with you, that is trained in what to do when we hit a roadblock, that can be quite incredible for giving you leaps and bounds of progress. Another thing to consider with the group neural retraining is that you're going to get a level of education in the program that is going to allow you to accomplish so much more with neural retraining on your own. You're also going to have tools that you can use in the moment in life when you are really dysregulated. And it's important to do that when you have the chance because, as I have mentioned in a lot of my videos, when a neural network is active is when it is changeable. If you're, let's say, really angry about what your husband said, and whenever he says something similar, you get really, really triggered, right? That is something for you that you would want to work on rewiring. And the tools in the Wired for Wellness program can help you do that. What you would do in a situation like that is just go, "Hey, I got really triggered. It's not really your fault. I just have a big trigger around whatever that is that you said. Can you give me some time to go and calm myself down so, before we interact anymore?" And in that moment, you would just go to your room and put on some headphones and play one of these processes and follow along, and it will get you down to a 0. When I first started doing this work and I was just doing private sessions with people, I would teach them the activities to do. I would say, you do X and then you do Y and then you do Z, and I would give them handouts and all this stuff. And the reality is that a bunch of them didn't do it. They just felt overwhelmed. And so they didn't even try. Or they were being so perfectionistic about it, they thought that they could do it wrong. And so they didn't try. That's part of how the Wired for Wellness program was born, is because I had so many clients who just weren't doing the work in their own lives. And it's so important to do that in these moments when the neural network is completely 100% activated. Those are the times when you can make the most change in that network. And so I highly recommend that you consider doing both. And that doesn't mean forever, right? A lot of people, when they hear me talk about doing this work, they think, oh, this is going to be like therapy. I'm going to be in it for years and I'm not going to feel any different at the end, because in reality, that's how a lot of people feel after doing years of therapy. This is not like that. You will see in your each time you do this work, you will see changes in yourself, and those changes will become cumulative. They will build. And the more of this work that you do, the more results you will get. It's very obvious to people who do this work. Wow, I have changed and I have changed dramatically. And yeah, it can take some time, but compared to pretty much anything else out there, this is so fast. So you might rewire in a session anywhere from like 3 to 10 memories. And these could be traumas. These could be significant bad experiences for you. Um, in a single session, you might rewire 10 belief systems to the point that you can actually install new ones and have them stick. In a single neural retraining process that you might use in the group program, you can see your massive changes from the start of the process to the end of the process. You may want to be in the group program for 6 months or even up to a year to get all the results that you want to get. But if you're over it after 3 months and you've gotten enough, that's fine. You don't have to fix everything right now. You can do a little neural retraining and then life can get crazy and you can take a break and then you can do a little more. But the people that do stick with it for 6+ months are radically different afterwards. And so I'm going to be working on recording some testimonials from some of our group members so you can really hear about their experience of being inside the program. In the meantime, if you are still not even sure what I'm talking about with neural retraining or what it can do for you, please click the link below to try out our free program. The free program is amazing. We put it together to be an incredible resource for you to learn about what it is, what it can do, but also experience it. Experience 6 free neural retraining processes of different styles, just so you know what it's like and you know what kind of activities you'll be doing if you walk down this path. Now, those neural retraining processes are not exactly the same as private sessions, but some of the techniques used are similar. They're just not tailored to you. So keep that in mind as you use them. But if you notice improvement in your stress level around whatever it is that you do a process on with that free program, then know that the rest of the tools available to you in Wired for Wellness and in private sessions will work for you. Like I said, the progress that you make builds cumulatively. So don't think that after one neural training process in the free program, you're going to be a totally different person and all fixed, but we have been hearing from people that it has been massively helpful to them and that they are using some of those processes over and over and over again because they feel so good. So try it out. And if you love it and it's making good changes for you, then consider going all the way. Consider doing what you need to do to be a totally different person in 6 months and to live a totally different life in 6 months and to create the life of your dreams, because that is also what the Wired for Wellness program will teach you. It doesn't just teach you how to get out of stress programming, but also how to create the life that you want and while you're healing, and to eliminate all the resistance in the way of you actually going for what you want in your life as you heal. All right, guys, I hope that that was helpful to you and clarified some things, and I will see you in the next video.